Hey everybody, I'm Yvonne Williams with Back to Earth Creations, and in this video I want to show y'all a very fun and beginner friendly dapping metal project, like where you take like little blanks and you hammer them and then you make them into jewelry. So basically in a nutshell, let's get started. So the tools we'll be using for this project include a dapping block. You could either have one where it's all laid out like this, or one that kind of, different sides have different sizes. I like both depending on the project. It just, pros and cons. If I had to invest in one over the other, I would have gotten the cube because it has some larger sizes available. And those come in very handy. Now also, the blanks that we're going to be using, these are mirror finish aluminum coins, kind of. I get them from the ringlord.com. There will be links to all the different tools and materials used down below, but I really like these. They come with a blue film on them that you then like peel off. Also, I'm so sorry, my hands are like covered in paint, but yeah, that's the way it goes. But you peel the blue off, and normally they're very like pristine, but these have been knocking around on my work surface for over a week, so they're a little scratched up. But you can leave the blue on to hammer, or you can take it off like how I have here. Now also from like Hobby Lobby or Michael's, you could use any kind of stamping blanks, but I have found that the price for these guys is very, very affordable in comparison to, $2 for 6 pieces. It's just, use your judgment, use your, perspective. You're gonna know your budget and stuff better than anybody. But I also like that these already have the hole drilled into them, because I do not have that technology on hand. Like I do have like a drill, but I feel like I'm not quite like stable with it. So for a complete beginner project like this, I really like having the ones that already have the hole in them. So I'm just going to place our little blank into the largest spot, and then I'm going to use our largest dapper, and then I'm going to be using, this is the same rawhide mallet that I use in a lot of my all of my leather working, and I just leave it in the wooden base on a poundo board, and then I'm going to make sure that it's nice and flat and level. And then I'm going to place it, and this is going to get loud. And I'm just going to hammer a bit. Now you can see, if you do it in just one spot, it gives you like a very puckered, punctuated area. So let's come around. And hammer in quite a few spots. I'm trying to not sit directly on the edge, because that will give you a little bit more of a, like you could spread the metal by hammering directly on the edge. And I don't want to deal with that right now. Okay, so this is the first one. You can see we've got a little bit of a cool texture going on there. But I'm going to move this up to the next size. And we're going to make this even more concave. Or convex, I guess, depending on which side you're looking at. So there you can see we're getting even more, that little bit of texture, and it's becoming even more pronounced in its shape. So now I'm going to go to the next size, and just to show you the difference that not having this on these stacked work surfaces makes, I'm just going to move it over a bit while we hammer on just our desk. Now keep in mind, this is a very heavy solid wood desk. So that compared to, excuse me, Sorry, I'm moving the camera that way I don't hit it with the hammer. And it's just occurred to me that the camera may not be picking up on the noise as sensitively, but I feel like these being stacked removes a lot of the higher pitch, like pinging of the reverberations. There we are. And now I'm going to move one more. And for all of these, I've just been using the same size dapper. If I had a larger dapper, I would probably use it, but we're beginners at this, so we're just going to use immediately what we have on hand. Here we are. So that's an effect that you can get starting at the largest and whittling your way down. We can flip that over. It's a really nice concave. I always get the two mixed up. Concave and convex, I believe. But you can see with the pre-punched holes, we are going to get a little bit of a pucker right there. So I like it, but if that's not what you're going for, keep that in mind. Now I want to show you the difference, or let's experiment and see if there is any difference between starting off large and working our way down to small, or if we just immediately put in the blank and go from there. So I have it positioned. I have my little dapper in place. So I feel like this actually achieved a much smoother finish. Look at that mirror polish. I can wave it, y'all. Hey, y'all. Like, yeah, a much smoother finish than what it did starting large and working our way down. So I'm going to use another blank, and I'm just going to put it right on in there and hammer it. And honestly, I feel like that was less work too. There we are. Got a little bit of scuffing on that one. It's not as perfect, but it's definitely better than the other one. Now I do also feel like, though, by doing it all in one go, we got a much stronger pucker here at the top. So different things to keep in mind. So I'm going to get this cleared out of the way and then meet you right back here for the next step into making what do we do with these once we've dapped them. So for different options of what we can do with our blanks once they've been dapped are really just boundless. Like whatever you can imagine, try it, and if you like it, go with it. If you don't, try something else. So here I have just a selection of a couple of different beads and charms. Now we could, before I say what we could do, I am using 20 gauge surgical steel ear wires, 18 gauge 3/16 and 18 gauge 1/8 jump rings. Nice and durable. They're bright aluminum. And then flat nose, bent nose, and round nose pliers, as well as wire snips. These are actually flush cutters. I really like them because they're completely flat on one side. Okay, so now what we could do is we can open up a jump ring and just kind of stack some charms together. Sometimes I really like to experiment with different metal tones together. So I would just thread them both through both the charm and the dapped round on the jump ring, and then close it. And depending on the size of jump ring that you use, you could make that into a pendant or something. Like, I really like that little bit of movement. we can open that back up. Now, another option that I was exploring, you could do that same thing with just a head pin made into a loop. And you can experiment by just sitting different things into the basin and seeing how you like it. I really love a good translucent bead. It lets the light through, and especially with these mirror finish aluminum rings or aluminum blanks, it really like shines and can amplify even the colors that are going on there. Now you could thread, I like this design for beads that are really hard to get to lay a certain way. Because especially for things like earrings, you want them to match, but if they never want to dangle the same way, it's hard to get them to perfectly. You could thread it through in this manner. Gives you a little bit of an off-center effect. But I think I'm going to make a wrapped loop and thread them both through a jump ring and then attach that to an ear hook. And I really liked this carnelian, because again, it lets the light through and really reflects and flashes into the basin. So to make a wrapped loop, we're going to thread the head pin through our bead, come a few centimeters away from the bead with our flat nose pliers, and bend like that. So we have a nice 90-degree bend going on there. And then I'm going to insert our round nose pliers, just like that. Again, I'm so sorry about this paint on my hand. And then I'm going to wrap this. Let me see if I can't clean up the work surface a bit to make it a little easier to focus. Okay, I'm going to take this tail and push it around the nose of our pliers. And repositioning the pliers, I'm going to push it just a little bit further. We want to make a loop that's centered over the rest of our bead. And it looks a little wonky right now, but we can straighten it up more later. Repositioning it onto the pliers, I'm now taking my bent nose pliers and wrapping it around. If we think of this loop as the head and the bead as the body, we're wrapping around the neck. We're going to do, there's 1 rotation, 2 rotations, and then I can't quite fit a full 3rd one. But I'm still going to finish it so that it's coming off to the side like that. And now we could snip this tail, but I'm going to take my round nose pliers and make just a little bit of a spiral. Oops. Sometimes that'll happen, your pliers slip off the wire. Oh, and I don't have quite enough to do a big fancy spiral, but it's just enough, just a little bit. And that's enough that the spiral, or the bead now doesn't want to flop around everywhere quite as much either. And so we would do that to the other bead as well. But from here, we would just take our jump ring, loop the bead on it, and then loop that through. There they go. Through the dot blank, and then we're going to close it. Now the reason why I'm not attaching this directly to the ear wire is because of the way that the loop on the ear wire is oriented. I want this to hang so that whenever it's going through the ear, this is the design is facing. I don't want it to risk being turned towards the head or blatantly away from the head, and I want it to give a little bit of movement. So that's what I'm going to be using this secondary smaller ring for, but you don't want to use something that's too thin. I always err on the side of a thicker metal gauge than what I think I'll need, as opposed to a thinner, because I don't want, this to get tangled in my hair and pull out. So just threading them both, threading them both onto the jump ring and closing. You want to close so that there's as little of a gap as possible, because again, if you wear your hair long and down, these will be the first thing to get tangled in your hair. And just like that. A very nice, simple, but fun earring. And it can just add layers of dimension and handmade charm to your own projects. And honestly, I probably would have used maybe a little bit smaller of a bead, but I don't know. I like it. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me for this video. I hope that it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, you know I love hearing from you guys. Please leave a comment down below, or you can find me on social media and tag me on Instagram and share pictures to my wall on Facebook and all sorts of stuff. So that's down. Links for that are down below as well. If you enjoy my free daily tutorials here on YouTube and you would like to support the creation of them beyond just liking and sharing and subscribing and all that, please consider becoming a patron. For as little as $1 a month, y'all can really make a big difference for us in being able to keep these videos coming and coming up with new projects and things. So again, all the links for all that stuff is down below, but thank you guys again for just spending some time here with me to hopefully get your crafty creative juices going. And you know, I absolutely love dapping stuff now. I'm like adept at like looking at like all of my beads and stuff. So if you guys have any ideas for future tutorials too, I love hearing about those. So thanks again, y'all. Until the next video, happy crafting, and I'll see y'all around. Bye.